What's up, Penguin Nation? Richie Giuliano, and pleased to be joined by Nate Ball, a junior pitcher for the Youngstown State Penguins, in our second week of Player Profiles brought to you by Baird Brothers. Nate, thanks for coming on here today.
Thanks for having me, Richie.
So, big weekend down in Florida. You obviously got some sun, the redder face than me, but before we get into this past weekend, I want to talk to you about what brought you here to Youngstown. You're from Perrysburg, Ohio, which is a suburb of Toledo. So, just talk about your recruiting process and how you kind of found Youngstown State.
Yeah, so I actually got into recruiting really late. I didn't really know how to be exposed by colleges. I kind of figured that I'd just go to showcases. I think I made a recruiting profile at some point. I didn't get a lot of looks. And then I came here because I went to a PBR unsigned senior showcase at Wright State the summer before my senior year, and that's when Eric Smith, the former recruiting coordinator, saw me. And a couple weeks later, assessed me more closely, gave me an offer, and that's how I'm here now.
Now, being so far away from home, I mean, the majority of your teammates live about 20-25 minutes away. How long did it take for you to kind of adjust to, being away from your family for so long?
Man, probably my entire freshman year. It was really tough. I didn't really engage much socially with the teammates until I started to really warm up with them, which I think is probably pretty normal for a freshman. But yeah, it didn't really start kicking in until after my freshman year, and that's when we got sent home for COVID anyway. But once I came back my sophomore year, I was really excited. It didn't really bother me to be away from home. It was a lot of fun.
Now, just talk about your freshman year. Obviously, you mentioned that you got sent home because the season got canceled, got cut short due to COVID-19, but I mean, overall, you had so much excitement coming in. It's your first year as a college student, as a college pitcher, and then, they kind of put the axe to the season. So what was that like for you?
It was completely different than anything I've ever experienced. I had to figure out how to live on my own. I had to adjust from being a baseball player in high school to college, which is night and day different. I had to figure out how to take care of my body. I had to figure out how to develop on my own. It was just a lot of thrown into the lion's den, if you will. Figured everything out on my own.
Now this weekend, obviously, it's going to be a big, tough experience down in Belmont, one of the tougher teams in the OVC. But, last weekend you guys pick up a series win for the second time to open up the season in the last 3 years. Just talk about what it was like finally getting back out there and throwing in live action.
It was really a blessing. It was a lot of fun. Before I went into each game, it was so much pressure because the game was on the line both times. But when I went in, a bunch of serenity just fell over me, and I felt really calm and locked in. And then the result happened, and I just probably I had a more happy experience in my life when it came to baseball, for sure.
Now, you've had a big off season for this program. Knew that you were going to be a big piece in the back end of this Youngstown State bullpen. Just talk about what you did in the off season to bump up your velo and bump up your accuracy and control.
I'd say the number one thing I did was I took a trip down to Florida. I spent a month during the summer there at the Florida Baseball Armory, and I studied the game, studied mechanics, movement, proper training and development with Randy Sullivan there, and it was definitely well worth it.
Now, there's a couple of your teammates that went down there as well. Chad Coles, I know a guy that was talking about going down there. I think it was 2 summers ago when he went to Florida. So are those the guys that kind of influenced you to kind of go down there after seeing the results that they've had in the past couple of years?
Yeah, for sure. I wanted to play summer ball, but I figured that might not have been the best priority, the number one thing that would have helped me develop most quickly. So going there, especially after seeing Chad, and then Nick Caruso and John Snyder all went there, and I believe Danny Zimmerman went down there too. He's a transfer in this year, and all those players are fantastic, and they've really been a big part of our program.
So the off-season work has really helped you so far. You had a fantastic weekend in your opening weekend on the mound in your junior season. Let's talk about Saturday's game. So it's a pressure situation. You guys lead by 1 run, and you come into the ball game. There's a guy on third base, and you end up getting the huge strikeout to end the inning, keep the tying run at third base, and then you come in the 9th and strike out 2 of the 3 guys. So you talked about earlier how it was one of the greatest feelings that you had. Just talk about the mentality that you had warming up in the bullpen before coming in.
I would say my mentality really kicked in when I was warming up on the mound in the field. When I was in the bullpen, I was just trying to focus on finding my release point, finding the strike zone, and then when I'm in the game, I found that what works for me best is just to attack hitters as quickly and as most efficiently as possible. I think there's several types of pitchers. There's pitchers who are more crafty and they're delicate and they're trying to place the ball in, a tiny little circle everywhere, and they're really, I don't know. I just think that when I just try to throw the ball as hard as I can with control and try to really snap off breaking balls and get my changeup to move in a certain direction, and I don't really think about it, I think the results just kind of fall where they will.
That worked on Sunday as well. I mean, you get your first career save on Saturday, and then you come in another pressure situation on Sunday. So it's back-to-back days where you come in the back end of the bullpen where it's a one-run lead, and you come in and slam the door with 2 strikeouts to win the series for your team. Just talk about that feeling after you get that final strikeout over the weekend. It's probably a sigh of relief, like, okay, I finally got out of this.
Yeah, I didn't really think I was going to play that game just because earlier in the game we were up 9-2 at one point. There was a big difference in the score, and I didn't really think there was going to be a save opportunity or a really clutch moment that I would have needed to perform in. So when it happened, I had to lock in. I realized, oh man, this is happening again. The adrenaline kicked in. Luckily, I took my arm care the night before really seriously. I was probably up until 2 a.m. doing it, and I felt ready to go. But after the game, man, my arm was hanging. It was sore, for sure.
Well, a big weekend. You had 5 strikeouts total against 7 guys. I mean, that's impressive enough against a team down south that gets to play outside 8 months out of the year. So a fantastic weekend for you. But one more thing I want to touch on, and going back to last year, such a special group with so many good pitchers. You had the pitcher of the year in Colin Floyd. And for you probably didn't get the amount of appearances that you wanted to, but you still probably learned a lot from that experience with guys that have put up career numbers at Youngstown State with Joel Hake and Dalton Eric, 2 guys that probably mentored you throughout that process last season.
Yeah. Last season, even though I did have a freshman year, we only played 14 games, so I'd definitely say last year was really what I learned the most, what college baseball was about, and traveling and seeing the routine and the scheduling and then the game itself. It was just eye-opening, especially Colin Floyd and Colin Clark. Those two pitchers really took me under their wing, especially being left-handers too. And they're both men of faith, and they just have a lot of hope for me, and they really wanted to see me develop. So they just tried to do as much as they can for me.
All right, we're going to do a get-to-know Nate Ball segment, a little rapid-fire questionnaire.
Okay.
First thing I'm going to start off, your favorite pitcher to watch and to learn from?
That's Jacob deGrom.
Okay,
sure.
Jacob deGrom. Favorite MLB team then?
New York Yankees.
New York Yankees, all right.
Yep.
Favorite meal before a game?
Oh man, probably something light. I like a lot of greens. They make me feel kind of energized, but I'm a big red meat guy too, so maybe like a little steak or something.
Favorite song before you're about to go in? Or before a
Favorite
game?
song? I don't know. I kind of like Olivia Rodrigo, but I don't know how appropriate she is for getting hyped up and intense for a baseball game.
On the way back after you guys won, a lot of the bands driving back to the hotel were actually playing Olivia Rodrigo.
Really?
So, in our car we had it on, I know, with me, Chad, and Dylan, so that's obviously a similarity between the team. But favorite video game that you've ever played? It doesn't have to be current or that you play now, anything that you played in the past.
I'm not really much of a video game player, but I really used to like playing the Call of Duty games, and I like the Minecraft game. That's fun.
All right, favorite ballpark you played in? It could have been in high school, could be in college. I know we played in some big ballparks in the past couple of years in LSU and Mississippi State, so your favorite ballpark you played in?
I'd say it's a tie between Alex Box Stadium at LSU and back at home, Fifth Third Field, where the AAA Detroit Tigers team, Toledo Mud Hens, play. It's a beautiful ballpark. So yeah, maybe there.
Now I saw your home ballpark is putting a lot of renovations in. I heard that they're going to put a new turf field in there.
Yeah, they already did that actually. They put a new turf infield in. Yeah, so it's beautiful now.
Now just talk about that program coming from Perrysburg. Obviously you had such a big number of strikeouts in high school and a lot of success. Just talk about what it was like playing at Perrysburg in a really good high school baseball program.
Yeah, I think I had a little bit of a harder time in high school. I didn't even play varsity until my last year, my senior year. I think I developed a little slower than most guys. Most guys grew up, in middle school, elementary school, playing for elite travel teams, and I kind of just played Little League. Mm-hmm. So I kind of had to find coaching on my own and development on my own. But when it eventually happened, I think I did do pretty well. I was satisfied for how I did my senior year, and I know my friends and family back home are real proud of that.
Now one more thing before we let you go. So you have such a big weekend at Bethune-Cookman. As we mentioned, you strike out 5 out of the 7 guys you face. How do you kind of move forward from that and kind of focus on Belmont this upcoming weekend?
I've been talking to myself. I've had thoughts about that. I think it's really important to not let the highs get too high and not let the lows get too low. When I think about how awesome that was, I kind of have to remind myself, okay, you know what, that was great, but it's not going to matter if I can't keep repeating that. So I have to salvage the moment, live in the moment when it happened, and now I have to just focus on the next task at hand, for sure.
All right, Nate, we appreciate you coming on, man. Glad to talk to you here today, and good luck to you guys this weekend. A big weekend for the Youngstown State baseball team. They will take on Belmont on Friday through Sunday, and you can listen to Nate Ball and his entire squad on YSN starting on Friday at 4:50. This was Nate Ball, our now junior player profile, brought to you by Baird Brothers.